kind of a break from reality. She thinks you're LDS?
Yes.
She thinks she's married to Moroni in the past.
You think she's what?
Married to Moroni at the top of the temple. I've tried to support her as much as I could, but it's gotten really, really bad. Lately she's had a break. She says, I'm Nick Schneider. I've taken over Charles' body. And Charles has been killed. I'm going to kill you. You're going to be murdered today or tomorrow.
I just went back to the living room. Like, what is your problem?
With the gun again?
Yes. And I said, I want you to put that bat down. And he wouldn't do it. He's like, and he came at me with the bat again after he'd already hit me in the head. So I shot him to stop him.
Gotcha. How long have you guys lived here?
Okay.
How long have you lived here?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
That's why the neighbors don't know us.
Gotcha.
Like, hi, neighbor, sorry.
Still can't get over that smile. That's Lori Vallow at the time smiling after her brother, just moments beforehand, had shot and killed her husband, Charles. Unbelievable stuff. Well, a detective from the Chandler, Arizona Police Department, because that's where that happened in Arizona, took the stand to testify about Lori's reaction to all this. Take a listen.
She didn't have much of a reaction. When she was informed that Charles was deceased, she had responded that she already knew. She appeared calm, very non-emotional, was kind of hanging out and seemed to be just having kind of some general conversation, not really upset, just kind of. At one point, she was laughing, just kind of was standing around.
Let's bring back in our guests, Caitlin Becker, Sky Borgman, Mike King. Caitlin, this whole thing has always struck me as very revealing. You know, in that moment, your husband's just been shot, and her reaction to the whole situation.
A complete lack of reaction. If you didn't tell me why she was talking to the police, I would have thought at most fender bender. Not that her husband had just been shot and killed by her brother and by his account in the commission of defending her from some sort of physical altercation. She is cool as a cucumber here. She's unfazed. She giggles. She almost seems a little flirty. It's so disturbing. And after hearing all of the testimony that we have heard so far, I think this really lands in her delusion that that was not Charles. That was a demon named Ned Schneider, of all names.
Ned Schneider. Okay. Now, let's listen to more testimony from another detective from the Chandler PD in Arizona, testifying in this case in Idaho. This is interesting because they're looking at her story about where she was, who was there, and the timeline, and it didn't seem to add up.
When you made contact with Miss Vallow, did she provide any information to you?
Yes, I called her on the phone, and during our recorded call, she provided his basic information to be put in the report, which is fairly standard, as he was said to have been present during the incident. And then we talked about the school to which she had allegedly taken him after the shooting occurred, and she gave me the information for a Lawrence Life Academy, and I later looked up where that was. And she also told me that between leaving the scene of the shooting and going to Lawrence Life Academy, she had gone to a Burger King to get JJ food.
Are you aware of what time the initial 911 call was placed regarding that shooting?
The initial 911 call was placed at 8:36 in the morning, if I'm remembering correctly.
So it would have been after Miss Vallow was at the Burger King?
Well, yes. So what I found on the video is the video evidence showed that her vehicle, and also captured her image through the drive-through window, that visit was at 7:55 in the morning, 7:54 or 7:55 in the morning.
And we have that video, Sky Borgman, as we watch the video of her at Burger King. That whole day, that whole morning, very chaotic.
Well, it seems like it should have been chaotic, but what's really strange about it is it wasn't. I mean, there's a shooting that happens, and then she goes to Burger King, and she allegedly bought flip-flops too, and then only after she goes to get the hamburger, she calls 911. So that's what's so, I don't know, you use the word chaotic. The chaos is really in the simplicity of it, and the chaos is really in the non-emotion and the seemingly normal day that Lori is having until she goes back and sees the cops at her home where her husband is dead and her brother is sitting on the curb with a little bit of blood running down the back of his neck.
Mike King, let's take a listen to Lori in her Chandler Police interview about this.
Yeah, and then I was kind of turned around, and we were all right there in that room except for the kids had been outside by that time, and I heard the gunshot. And
so you heard the shot? Did you actually see the shot, or did you just hear it?
I had gone around to the kitchen to get away from him, and so back around. So I don't know if you went in the house.
I didn't, so I'm a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, so I didn't see the shot. I heard it, and then I came back around and I saw that he was on the ground. Okay. And I was freaking out. Yeah. And so I was just freaking out, and it just went into mom mode. I'm like, I've got to go to get JJ to school. I've got to get to the kids.
Mike King, what do you think of this interview?
You know, I've been troubled, and we've talked about this before, Vinny, about the fact that there's some really nice pieces of evidence in this thing, but the behavioral evidence is what is so compelling to me, and the thing that I think hopefully somehow will get across to the jury, and that is, here she's talking, and the way she's describing that, going into the kitchen, toward the bar area in the kitchen and the sink, and then coming out when she makes that motion with her hand to the right. If you've looked at that floor plan, she would have had to have gone through that double wide entry door into the kitchen area and then come back, which means she has to walk past Charles and his body laying there to go outside. And there's no stop of, Alex, are you okay? There's no saying, I checked his pulse. There's no screaming. It's like, okay, I got to move on and go to the next thing. And that's what's really troubling to me. So I think it's going to be more about what isn't being said, what isn't being projected, than the testimony that she's trying to give to police in these different interviews.
Sky, what's the status of their marital situation at this point? And is Colby Ryan at all in the mix in this family at this point?
He's somewhat in the mix. I mean, Colby has recently gotten married and really at this point has just had a little baby. And things are tense with Lori and Charles, and he knows that things are tense with Lori and Charles. Charles has been sending a bunch of emails to all the family members saying Lori's had a break. She thinks there's evil, light and dark. And so everybody's getting these emails. There's so much chaos going on in the family. And Colby is really trying to distance himself. And he's kind of going, these guys can take care of whatever they want to take care of. I've got a family. His newborn baby had some health complications. And so he's really trying to distance himself from Lori and Charles.
All right, guest staying with us. We got more to talk about, plus coming up next hour. On the docket tonight in Santa Fe, New Mexico, big breaking news in the Alec Baldwin shooting case. Charges dropped against the A-list celebrity. Is this a double standard for actors, or can anyone fire a gun at anyone if someone tells them that the gun isn't loaded?
That private investigator, as you probably know, did not have a difficult time accessing the staff of the sheriff's department. And that person told us, quote unquote, we've known in the department since January that Alec would not be charged with a crime.
There's good, and then there's sheer evil.
A marriage and a murder.
He basically had a double life.
She found out about his drug use, found out about his gambling.
And that's when the brick wall crumbled.
How a husband's secret led to a cold-blooded killing.
They wanted me to kill his wife.
You ask yourself, why? Because he can't stand not to be in control.
Someone They Knew with Tamron Hall. Tomorrow, 7/6 Central.
Only on Court TV.
You need police or paramedics?
Both. I'm in police and an ambulance.
What's the emergency there?
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense.
Just let me know if you see his chest going up and down. How old is he?
It's not moving. He's 60.
Okay, and are you wanting to start CPR?
No, I don't know how to do that.
I can walk you through it.
Okay.
And what I want you to do is you're going to put one hand in the center of his chest.
Yeah.
The other hand's going to go right on top of it.
Okay.
You're going to interlock your fingers, keeping your arms straight, and you're going to press down hard and fast into his chest. You're going to go 2 inches down and fairly quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Making sure his chest goes up between each compression. Where's the gun now?
It's in the other room.
Yeah, I think he was kind of doing, oh yeah, no. Have you ever heard anyone on a 911 call say, no, I don't know how to do that? Wow. Here's another officer from Chandler PD testifying today about all of this. Take a listen.
We were led to believe that the caller, the shooter, had started CPR. And so when that happens, if the person is doing CPR and they're doing it effectively in the right place, it's quite common to where you can sustain injuries to the chest. You have to be forceful enough that you're actually going to compress the heart to be able to pump the blood to the body, trying to keep them alive and buy some time for help to arrive. And so typically when that happens, an impression would be left in the area of their sternum, the lower part of their chest, where the hands would have been doing the compressions. And then I didn't see that initially. I started my compressions and I felt what I would describe as like a crunch or a crack.
And in your training and experience, if someone had been performing CPR, would you have expected to feel that crack or that crunch?
I would not have expected to experience that and feel that.
Let's bring in our guests. Mike King, how revealing was that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Vinny, I've been there, and when you make that first compression, you feel either that sternum or the ribs attaching to the sternum cracking and breaking away. It is an odd feeling. It is a sensation you don't forget. But the other thing is, if Alex had been doing compressions, there would have been much more blood on the floor because there were open wounds. Once that heart stops beating, blood's not going to ooze from the body. The only way it is going to ooze is by forcing it out through the compressions. So right from the get-go, that looked like a really bad deal going on, because as soon as we looked at those first images that came out when this case broke, it was clear he is not doing those kinds of things. And frankly, his behavior when he's on the phone and that nonchalant, I don't know, maybe I'll get to it.
Unreal. Sky Borgman, what was the relationship between Lori and Chad at this time when Charles is shot?
I mean, they're together. They're in love. I believe they, at this moment in time, have been sealed in a temple in a church close by to where the house is. And so they are fully together and they're in love. And whatever this sealing means, that they were sort of married within the eyes of the church or within the eyes of God, they are fully on the path to being in love.
Caitlin Becker, Alex the Hitman, there again.
There again, and now he's gone. How awfully convenient for Lori Vallow Daybell that the people who were involved in this particular situation, Tylee, who initially brought out the bat, Alex, her brother, who shot and killed her husband at the time, are all dead. There's no one living other than Lori who can tell you what actually happened inside the house that day. And that seems to kind of be par for the course for all of her bad deeds.
And there we're looking at the back of Alex Cox's head.
Which, Vinny, does not look like somebody got hit in the head with a bat.
No, Charles Vallow was like a semi-pro or professional baseball player. If he's going to swing a bat at you, you're not going to get a little owie like Alex Cox has there. Your head's going to get bashed in. You're going to get knocked out. No doubt about that. Sky, at this point, Was there an air of suspicion that something really bad was going on when Charles was killed, or did it take for the kids to disappear and for everyone to start to really pay attention to what was going on in this woman's life?
It took for the kids to disappear for people to really recognize that something was going on. And even when you look at the death of Charles Vallow, the shooting of Charles Vallow by Alex Cox, Alex said it was self-defense and nothing happened. There was very little investigation that went into it, and he basically just walked away free. So nobody was even thinking about something more sinister or just as sinister happened to these kids later on.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. You know, when you look at it now, right, you look at all of this, but it's just one piece at a time is happening. Mike King, we only have about 20 seconds here. Again, they're in love, they're sealed, and they both have spouses.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because I've done a little research on that, and it was in Lori's mind that they were had this marriage that happened. They said some heavenly beings showed up and did this. I don't think that was in any way sanctioned by the Latter-day Saint faith, and obviously without a wedding certificate, they wouldn't have been able to even have that happen. So I think that's just a bunch of who shot John.